Today I am in Williamsburg, Virginia. I came down to see the new exhibit at Colonial Williamsburg, and while I was down here I made some arrangements with Angela from Burnley and Trowbridge to pick up one of my orders. And since I'm down here picking it up, it means I get to tour their wonderful new warehouse. So they aren't actually open for regular visits, but you can make arrangements to pick up your items in person, and I'll give you some details about how to do that down below in the comments. But for now, let's go take a look and see what we can find at Burnley and Trowbridge. Yay! The amazing Burnley and Trowbridge warehouse full of all sorts of beautiful things. Oh, I can't wait to explore. Right, so the first question that I have for you is, can you tell me about the first fabric that you ever sold as Burnley and Trowbridge?
Yes. I can tell you about the first fabric I saw too, which belonged to Jim at the time, and that was linen. And at the time, linen just wasn't it wasn't out there. So here was this guy who had found all this linen, and to this day I will tell you that he can't decide if I fell in love with him or his linen. And it's debatable, but anyway, no.
What year was this, do you remember?
1994.
Okay.
Yeah, it was whirlwind. Yes, it was, because actually we took our business full time in, well, it would have been about now. We took it full time in 94.
Okay.
So we've been in business for 25 years full time. Jim actually started the business back in the 80s, and he did this and that, and he made clothes for people. Ask him if he sews now.
I was going to say, I didn't know he sewed.
Oh, he sews really well. Get him to sew? Oh no, oh no. Anyway, he would sew for people, and he had some really good sources he knew enough to understand that he had found these natural fibers, these wonderful linens, and a linen and cotton that we used to sell, which was opposite of the way they make it in the 18th century. It was a cotton warp yarn and a linen weft yarn. It was coming from a cotton manufacturer in Germany. I mean, not in Germany, in Georgia. Germany, Georgia. But it was funny because this sort of thing, none of that exists now, but it did then. And he recognized it, and he said, wow, you know, this would be good for making stuff. And it started this whole little thing. He said one year he went to a large Eastern rendezvous, and he didn't have time to sew much, so he decided to bring some fabric that he had, and he started putting it out, and he couldn't get it off his truck fast enough. It was being bought right out from under him. So that's when he saw fabric was a good thing. Mm-hmm. And he did it part-time for a number of years, you know, just once or twice a year he'd go to a show. He wholesaled to a couple of people that were manufacturing, and yeah, it was a little part-time business. And then I met him, and you know, Angela, she goes 100 miles an hour. And sort of the rest is history, because we decided that the business had a place. There was a want, we had the means, and that's what we did. So with about, as Jim tells me, I didn't know it was that little, but with $2,000 worth of inventory, we said, and a big prayer, and a tiny apartment, we decided to make Burnley and Trowbridge happen. So.
You had a favorite fabric over the years that you've sold, or anything that was really special?
Oh God. The problem is that this is what keeps me going. They're all favorites. Because, you know, when I buy textiles, I'm buying them not only, well, for a lot of reasons. One, I'll find something and it simulates something that I have researched, and so I get all excited about that. I get excited because I see what it can be, so I get excited about that. So there's a lot of things. I mean, if people think that I don't personally love everything that I buy, they're sadly mistaken, because I love it all. And it's like Jim said, you know, years ago I would hoard the last half yard or the last quarter yard or the last yard of whatever fabric, you know, we were selling that we sold out of. And I finally had to stop because it was a problem. And as he put it, you know, he says, you just can't have all the things, Angela. You won't live long enough to use all the things. So it gets tough. As far as fabrics now, I think I always have a special affinity for any reproduction work I do. So that's always exciting to me because it's a long, drawn-out design process, test process, get it right process, and then finally you have the fruition of it. And that's always really exciting. But yeah, they're all favorites. They're all my babies.
Do you have an outfit envisioned for every fabric you buy, or can you see some use for it every time you have one that you offer for sale?
Pretty much, yes. Yeah. I mean, because I deliberate over every single thing that I buy. And not only do I deliberate over what I feel, if I'm comfortable with it as far as a historic textile, but I do look at it from an endpoint of use, And the thing is now is that, when I first started seeing other time periods, I dabbled in other time periods, but never much. I was always very focused in, the 18th century with Regency on one side and then going into the 17th century, a la Jamestown on the other side. And seeing other time periods, the Victorian time period, the Edwardian time period, moving forward in time and moving backwards in time always gets me doubly excited. So then I start to see purposes outside of my realm, and we now have a lot of customers that are outside my realm that time travel, so it's very exciting to see our textiles time travel with them.
So one of my favorite objects in all of Burnley and Trowbridge is this amazing garland of fabric. And this, if you can believe it, is a scrap of, I think, just about every single fabric you've ever sold in the history. Not even every one of them.
It's been cleaned out a couple of times.
So this is not even every one.
This is probably maybe 8 or 9 years worth.
Oh my gosh.
We've been doing it for 25 years, so.
And one thing I really like about this is it illustrates how much your stock changes. One thing I love about Burnley and Trowbridge is that I feel like every time I go look on your website, there's something new and wonderful. And the fabrics go away and they get replaced with new things. And this is just a great illustration of all the things that have been sold over the years. Just imagine all the outfits that have come out of these. And every so often I'll catch a glimpse of a fabric that I purchased from you. And it's like, oh, I have that one, or I used that one. So this is really cool. And I'm going to stand back so you can get a sense of the scale of this enormous thing. It's the history of Burnley and Trowbridge, all in one beautiful garland. Do you have a favorite item available in your shop that is not fabric related, not a piece of fabric?
I would say that's my reproduction and tools. They basically come out of my own little collection, things like these awls, which are reproduced from ones that I have, this one as well, and things like this, which I have an original of, which is a bodkin, right? We've also done things with thread winders, tiny creases, because you see them.
Oh yeah.
This is one of my favorite thread winders.
Oh, that's so beautiful.
Yeah. And then things like the shuttles.
Oh,
which,
yeah.
The shuttles are something that we get not a lot of demand for, but people who are in the know love them.
Yeah.
So, and these are used for knotting, and some people use them for lace making, what the modern term fly fringe, if they're going to do it on a box loom.
Now, my personal favorite tool from Burnley and Trowbridge are your wonderful scissors. I love these things. I keep one in my sewing kit. I keep one in my travel sewing kit. I keep one by my sewing machine. They just have the best action to them and the best snicking sound. I love these scissors. And of course, there's lots and lots of beautiful silk ribbons. Oh my gosh, look at all the gorgeous colors.
We have all of these custom dyed. We have them manufactured. and then we have them dyed to our specifications. This is our wonderful London red that came out of one of my research trips. We carry them in the 1 1/4. We also carry them in the 1/2 inch to match. And then we've got some, there's more.
Oh, I love this like sort of dove gray color. That's really beautiful.
And we've got a couple of new ones. Our pink and our aqua are new. And we've got we've got a order that's coming where we have some new 2 inch coming in other colors, because we always get demands for colors we don't have.
And it's hard to find 2 inch wide ribbon.
But this is some of our 2 inch.
Oh yeah, those are really nice.
But we're very low on those. Those are coming in.
New order coming in.
New order coming in, yeah.
Such a huge variety of different silk threads and all sorts of wonderful sewing tools, accessories. Oh, I could just look through all these little bins forever. And look at the buttons. So many buttons. Ooh, brass thimbles. I need one of those. One of the things that you guys are famous for, and something that I personally have a weakness for, are your beautiful printed cotton handkerchiefs, which you have dozens of now and have had so many designs through the years. Can you tell me something about your process for how you select which design to use and what makes you choose the ones you do?
Okay. Some are reproductions. Again, we work with museums and private collections. Some are taken from just research that I've done, and then I corroborate it with, I'll find some contemporary art and I'll corroborate it with that, and I get very excited because then I've got a visual and I've also got written documentation. The one I have on right now is a common little detail that you see. It is what we would call a tie and dye, but it's a resist style, and it's very common. You see spots constantly being talked about, spotted handkerchiefs, and I found several images with this particular arrangement, and then I was able to find a lot of contemporary writing where they talk about red handkerchiefs spotted with yellow. So that brought this one on. This is brown spotted with red.
And this one sort of has some of that design in there too.
Yeah, this one it comes from the museum. This is inspired because I was unable to have, be able to see the actual antique. But this one comes from the Philadelphia Museum of History. And then I found all these images again with this same style. And actually the V&A owns a handkerchief that is of the same pattern. So this was one of those popular patterns. The same goes for this one. This is silk. This actually is a reproduction from the DAR Museum. The same handkerchief is owned by the V&A, by Snows Hill. Who else owns one? Somebody else. Oh, Colonial Williamsburg.
Oh, wow.
And Colonial Williamsburg also has this colorway, as does Snows Hill. And so we were able to do both colorways with the permission of DAR. But mine is actually scaled exactly to the DAR handkerchief.
Wow, it's amazing to think that something like that, which you would think would be so ephemeral, was obviously so ubiquitous that there are versions of it in multiple museums around the world that have still survived. So it lets you know how many people were probably wearing something like that in the 18th century.
And what's really cool about this one is this time travels. I've found documentation for this exact pattern all the way to the late 19th century.
Wow, that's so cool.
So yeah, it's very cool. This is another DAR reproduction. This is a linen handkerchief that we had hand woven. And these are common. These are rummels, and you find them made out of linen. You find them made out of silk and cotton. You might find them made out of wool. So that's a whole thing that we've gotten involved with, and we are doing more weaving. In fact, we've got stuff that's coming, some really exciting new product coming in the next couple of weeks. That one is a reproduction from the DAR, two are reproductions from a private collection that we will be showing everybody and debuting soon.
Ooh, very exciting.
Yeah, and it has involved hand weaving and hand embroidery.
Ooh,
Yeah,
that's
being done
exciting.
not only that, but hand embroidered being done with a tambour hook.
Ooh.
So it's pretty neat.
Very great.
Yeah.
Another one of my favorite items from Burnley and Trowbridge that is overlooked a lot, I think, are all the wonderful tapes and lacings and things like that. There is nothing worse than getting to the middle of your dress and realizing that you've run out of a piece of tape or something and you have to do it. So I actually typically order stuff, by like the roll, because it's just so much more convenient to have it there when you need it. Lots of different styles. This is linen tape in different sizes. And of course there's cotton tape, which is super affordable and just so useful. And they also have it in black and white and cream. Actually, I need to buy some black today before I leave, so I'll add that to my order. And then things like stay lacings and stuff like that. Hats. There's just all sorts of little tools and additions that are so excellent to have in your sewing room. Thank you so much, Angela, for letting me tour your beautiful, beautiful workshop. I'm very inspired and I can't wait to go home and sew.
Oh, and thank you for coming. Bye. Exactly that.
You're going to be on YouTube.
Yeah.